Hello and welcome to the Exclu magazine interview series. My name is Aaron and I'll be your host for today. Today we have P.A. L'Esperance, one of the founders of House of Gog, a high art collectible toy brand that creates limited art statues and prints inspired by anime, sci-fi, video games, and other areas of pop culture. P.A., how are you doing?
I am very good. How are you, Aaron?
I am very good after our technical issues that we just
Yeah,
experienced.
but we won.
Yeah, we persevered and conquered, and now we're
Exactly.
here.
It's a good life lesson right there.
Mm-hmm. So I've already said that you're one of the founders, but I'm sure there's a lot more to you than that. Can you just introduce yourself and tell us about your involvement with House of Gog?
Mhm. With pleasure. Well, I'm the co-founder and president of House of Gog, which, like you said, is a high-end collectibles brand. But just a small variation. We are focused on art only, so we won't go into video game licenses or other licenses like that. We are focused on art, original art from world-class artists. So that's just a little nuance. Um, we're located in Montreal, Canada, and my partner is also a French Canadian like me, but lives in China. And I could tell you more about that relationship in the interview later. But I was working in the video games industry at Ubisoft, which is one of the main. I think a toy just fell on my shop. I don't know if you heard it. I was working in the team that was designing all the merch and the toys and the apparel for Ubisoft. So this is where I started getting involved into toy production and so forth. Um, I worked at Ubisoft for many years, and eventually, since I have a business background, I wanted to start my own business. So I left Ubisoft to start my own toy company, and and the first person I went to see to manufacture the toys was my current partner. So basically, by the end of the meeting, instead of having a supplier, I ended up having a business partner, which is actually amazing. But that's pretty much how I got into House of Gog. I mean, the story is a bit longer than that, but that's a quick sort of
Yeah.
Cole's note of it. Um, and that's it. I'm a toy collector as well, so obviously it stems from my passion for
Yeah.
collecting toys. I can see it
Yeah.
behind me.
We see all the
Uh,
toys.
yeah, I'm big on indie toy mostly,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't collect that many licenses. Although I have some Batmans over there that you don't see on my top row, and a Vader in the back, but mostly it's indie toy companies, Japanese toys. I have some Funko as well, but it's more for research. But Sofubi, Japanese Sofubi, like stuff like that, like pretty cool stuff. That's mostly based on art as well. So that's pretty much my inspiration for
Yeah.
it. And in the statue business, you don't have that much. I mean, everything is artistic, but you don't have art as a center of the brand like you have in the toy companies. Because a lot of toy companies, like even designer toys in the name, art toys, art is in the center of it, but not so much in statues.
Yeah. So, just looking at your website and stuff over the past few weeks, your stuff's very unique. Obviously, being exclusive to only you and having a very limited quantity. I'm familiar with other companies that produce high quality statues in sort of the same vein. One of them that comes to mind is First Four Figures, if you're
Mm-hmm.
familiar.
Yeah.
Um, but they focus mostly on video game stuff, I've noticed. So, who would you say that your audience is?
Well, that's the thing. The audience is somebody who is in love with toys and collectibles, obviously,
Mm.
but not necessarily, and I'll come to that later. That has a sort of a connection to art, obviously, as well, and um, and that's sort of a easygoing person because we're not unlike the large licenses who have 50 to 60 years of stories behind them and millions of fans. Our approach is more is quite different. Instead of focusing on large licenses, we focus on original art. So So the story is less important, and the actual vibe or the artist style is what we're interested in. So it always starts from yourself, right? So we did the market research and stuff like that. So we did the sort of the regular sort of due diligence that we have to do as business people. But at the end of the day, you do something that stems from yourself. And when I say from yourself, I'm including my business partner in this, because he's not only a business partner, but he's one of my best friends as well, and he's an amazing statue maker, because he's the one that's actually the actual statue maker. He's been making statues for a long time. I'll tell you that in a bit. But he loves art, and we have very similar taste and passion for it. So to come back to your question about the audience is people who are similar like us in terms of mindset, but also interest and stuff like that. But I collect sneakers, but I also love art toys, music, TV series. So basically, it's hard to pinpoint exactly the customer, the lambda, not the lambda, the alpha customer, but there are people that look like us for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle a little bit with answering that one, but
Yeah, you got there.
it's like-minded people that love art and toys like us.
Yeah. So before we get into the whole making of the statues, can you tell me where the name House of Gog came from?
Sure. Getting too specific about it, because there's many aspects of the brand name. Gog in the literature and the folklore is sometimes a villain, sometimes a hero. So this sort of duality was interesting to us, because we want to make characters which are heroes, but also villain. Our most recent statue is a villain. So there's this aspect in the name that we found interesting, and also the fact that it's a House of Gog. So I'm into RPG, MMOs, and video games like that, and I've been for a long time. So in Game of Thrones and medieval stuff. So I like the fact that we have that element in it, like a House of, because basically at the end of the day we are a brand that's going to house many fans and customers, and want to feel like they're at home when they're within our brand. And lastly, and this is the reason why it's actually called Gog, is a part of the name of my hometown when I was younger. So there's a personal element to the name as well.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just easy, sort of a cool name that came up pretty naturally. To be honest, we didn't have a list of names. It just came up like that, and it stuck.
Yeah, that sounds cool. You guys are only about 2 years old, is that right?
Yeah, we're on our second year right now. I mean, obviously we've been working on the project for many years, because the full cycle for making a statue is at least 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So since we already had production started when we launched our brand, we had started even before making ourselves public.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2 years old officially, but we've been at it for at least 4, I would say.
Okay. So we can get into the whole production part of it. So what goes into making your statues? I know you said you had your partner working on that. I don't assume that he hand makes everything. So is there like a production line involved?
Well, just to put you in perspective, Hugh, my business partner, has been making statues and toys professionally for I would say 20 years, and through his main company at least 10 years, I think. His main company is Pure Arts, and they make a lot of video game collectibles. They're quite big. They also make. They used to produce a lot of toys for others, but for the last few years, they've been getting some licenses for themselves. So they're basically a production house. My partner founded Pure Arts in China, because he's been living there for over 20 years. He was a Ubisoft art director originally, as back in the days at Ubisoft Shanghai, and married a Chinese woman, and he's been living in China for all these years. Speaks the language, is on location. So it's his team that actually handles the production, and this is not like sort of a home studio project. It's a mass production. The production pipeline to make the House of Gog products are the same ones the large companies use. Uh, some of the best statue makers worked on the House of Gog products. Some of the UGS teams, painters, sculptors. I mean, the whole process it's all made by hand. Basically like everything else in life, right? At the end of the day, it's made by hand. But for statue, it's something that started in the hobby, in the garage kit hobby in the 80s, and it always has been a hobby product. So even today, making a statue is not like making an iPhone, like a perfect sort of everything fits perfectly. Resin is something that moves as well. That's almost alive. So it's not easy to make. It's very complicated, and it hasn't really changed in all those years, except that now you have 3D printing, right? Which is a big revolution in what we're doing, because everything that was done before was done by hand. Basically, the sculpting was done by hand. So in order to make a statue, you need to create a sculpt. Then you create a mold out of that sculpt, and then you can cast your statue.
Yeah.
Easy steps, easy way to explain it. And basically with the 3D printing, now you can print in 3D your prototype, and then you can you can mold your statue from that print. So that allows you to do things that you could not do before in terms of sculpt, some very incredible complicated sculpts with tubes and weapons and all kinds of stuff you could never do before, or that was very difficult to do before. So the pipeline goes. The design is we start from the art, which in this case was from Montreal. Pascal is from Montreal, and then from that art it goes to China to get the design and produce, basically. So the design phase is part in Montreal, because there's a lot of back and forth that goes with my partner in China, but the actual prototyping and production is in China. That's where 90% or 99% of all the toys and statues are made. Even the Japanese toys are made in China.
Yeah, like
it's just that the Japanese toys made in China, they have 20 QC quality control Japanese guy who goes spend a month at the factory, to make sure everything is tight. So that's the reason why the quality is so high, because you can have something very cheap in China, but you can also have something incredible in China. It's just it's a question of how much are you willing to pay for it, basically. And it's the golden rule anywhere, basically. But often for a long time, people were associating China with bad quality, and that's not the case at all. I mean, you can get really cheap stuff there, but you can get all the highest quality stuff that we have, including our iPhone, is from China. So, so anyways, the production is in China by some of the best statue people in the world, in the industry, and it's all the UGS team. So it's basically in-house. Instead of going through third parties like everybody else except Pure Arts does. We have our own factory. So that's a very unique feature of our brand.
Yeah, it's always nice to get some insight on that. I'm sure you can see all my figures. I know everyone.
Yeah, I saw that actually, but I couldn't make it.
They're all Good Smile company, Nendoroid figures.
Yeah, amazing PVC.
Yeah. They also have their factory in China. Originally, they started out in Japan, but now, like you guys.
One of the best. Good Smile is one of the best companies. My partner made some Good Smile for Good Smile in the past, if I'm not mistaken, as a factory.
Wow.
Yeah, they have incredible stuff. The Figma stuff is made by Good Smile, I think, as well.
Yeah, Max Factory, and they're distributed by Good Smile.
And what's your if I can ask, what do you like collecting, like the anime stuff, or?
It's I mean, I don't think you can see, but most of the stuff that I have on my shelf right now are like the Nintendo characters. I
Okay,
also have a few anime figures, but the
it's mostly
Nintendo, yeah.
uh,
I
yeah,
make,
they're really cool stuff. I mean, my girlfriend just got the Switch. I mean,
mm,
we're a bit late to the party,
yeah.
but she's been building, I don't know, like some like crazy island.
Oh, so she's
Uh,
playing Animal Crossing.
yeah, she
Yeah.
is. She is actually.
I,
But no, no, I'm a big fan of Nintendo. Obviously, by having worked at Ubisoft for all these years, I'm really big onto video games. You
yeah.
know, I was even a video games tester at Ubisoft
Mm,
in my younger years. So I was playing video game for a living.
it's the dream.
Yeah, it's fun. I think streaming is more fun than testing video games because testing is actually quite it's work. I'm not saying that streaming is not work, but I'm telling you, like that it looks to be more fun being a streamer
Yeah.
than being a tester because testing is playing the same game for like 3 months, day and night, same level, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoy my time there, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's work for sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's helped you through all this process too.
Yeah,
So let's talk about your artist, Pascal Blanchet. Is that am
yeah,
I
that's
okay?
exactly the way you pronounce it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I took Spanish in high school, so this is
Did you get that? I sent you. Did you
yeah.
get the?
I
Okay,
listened to your recording. I repeated myself over and over.
I know, but it's quite easy one to it. See, but if you're not familiar with the actual, because there's an accent on the e, so this is something that you don't have in any language
Yeah,
besides French, basically.
yeah. So
Right.
how did your partnership come to be?
Well, it's interesting because I was a fan of Pascal while I was working in the same company as Pascal without knowing about it.
Mm,
And not only that, I'm a runner. I was going to do my run during lunchtime at Ubisoft with one of my best friends, still to this day, but he was a co-worker slash runner, partner, running partner. And every lunch for years, right? And the person that was working next to him was Pascal, but I didn't know about it. I'm just putting setting up the table. So I love science fiction. I love all the heavy metal, the magazine stuff, like all the retro Fred Zeta, Mobius, Philippe Drouillet, all those 1980s, late 70s science fiction I mean, artists from France, from the States. Richard Corbin. There's so many of them. Chris Foss. Anyways, all that universe and all these guys are the main influences of Pascal. So that's why I connected with Pascal's work so much. The first time I connected with his work was when I saw his heavy metal 270 right there,
uh-huh.
which is basically the cover he made with Moonstone, which we used for our first statue. And I completely fell in love with that drawing. Like a sci-fi space pinup, sexy slash not vulgar, but like badass. Anyway, I really like that drawing. And that's how I found out about Pascal. And eventually I discovered that he was the person next to my buddy at work because I saw something on his screen, I think. I'm like, hey, that's cool art. And I don't remember. I think it was on Instagram. I saw his profile and anyways, it came to me and I connected the dots. So when I left Ubisoft to start working on House of Gog, I made myself an artist list because I'm really into art, and I had maybe 100 artists on that list, just to give me an idea which one I would like to work with and stuff like that. And the first artist on the list was Pascal Blanchet. I mean, at this point, everybody could be on the same level. I mean, I'm sure you go on Instagram. It's the talent is incredible, So it's at one point you have to make choices, and it was fairly easy for Pascal because it's really something I like this type of like I'm huge on science fiction, so it really spoke to me. So there was no brainer that it would be the first one. Then after when you get to the other artists, it starts to become difficult, but Pascal was for sure number one. So what I did is I found his email, like totally guerrilla style, like found his email. I don't even remember how I found his email, and I sent him. I was going to the cottage to my parents' house with my girlfriend and my dog. It's right here, by the way. And so I sent an email just before driving off, and I hadn't even gotten to my parents' place yet. Pascal had replied. So basically, I pitched a project. Everybody's saying short emails, PA, short emails. I'm like, yeah, short emails. Anyways, I wrote a huge ass email, but I mean, just putting my thought, on paper. Much better explained than when I try to explain my audience earlier. So by the time I got to the cottage, he had replied to me, and we were going to have lunch on the next Tuesday. I went to pick him up. We went to Ubisoft because he was still working at Ubisoft. I forgot to mention that part. That's where we both
Everyone
work.
works there, apparently.
Yeah. Well, 4,000 people in Montreal office. My girlfriend works at Ubisoft still. That's where we met, actually. So she works on Rainbow Six, which is the shooter there. She's a product manager. She makes toys over there. I met her in the team where I was making toys before I left. So it's all there. So anyways, Pascal, I picked him up at UB, went to have lunch, and basically by the time we were having lunch, he was already on board, and that's it. So it started from that meeting, and since Pascal is local, he lives he's French from France, but he's been living in Canada for many years. He's a Canadian citizen as well. And then we started exchanging, and since Pascal works in 3D already, you might not have noticed, but he works in ZBrush 3D, and so it's a 3D sculpts, and then he finishes in Keyshot and Photoshop. So it's tricky. So that not a lot of people know this, but he's a 3D artist. So basically, we already had a 3D file to work with, but we had to resculpt everything. But still, it was a pretty good base to start with. And Pascal was part of the process, and that's going to be the case with all of our future artists as well. We want the artist to be part of the process, and part of also the brand, right? And not only we're using their names, but they're actually participating in the development, and also in all the approvals, and lastly, also in profit and revenue sharing through royalties. So when people are, they're buying our statues, they're actually supporting directly artists, and we're very generous. Like, it's a good chunk of change they have. So it's like they're really included in the project with us, which is super cool. So so this is how I met Pascal, and we're at we did three statues together, including our third one, which was a new design by Pascal specifically for the project.
When looking at all the pictures of the statues, I really enjoyed how colorful and just, I don't know, lively the designs that he has are. Watching the videos of the unboxings that you sent me, I really appreciated also the care of the design of just the boxes, and like they could be a display piece on their own.
They were designed with that in mind, actually.
Yeah.
We wanted our art box to be an actual art piece by itself.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I feel the sci-fi influence, but I also feel like it's sort of post-apocalyptic. Can you speak a little bit about each of the three statues that he has?
For sure. They are all from the visual universe of Pascal Blanchet. So basically, he named that universe. This is his art book over here. It's called Derelict Planet. So this is the universe where those stories are happening, and like I was telling you earlier, we don't have 50, 60 years of comic stories behind us, but we still wanted to bring a story or narrative elements to our products. But at the same time, it's sort of a double-edged, I don't know the proper expression.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, a little bit, because if you push too much on the story, then people, where's the comics? Where's this from? So it's tricky. We want people to connect with the actual art piece, with the object, like I do with all my toys. It's like like it's love at first sight a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But also, since they're interesting characters, for sure they have a story. So we explore those stories, and we thought it was a good way to introduce the characters, and to make it a little more interesting as well to people who didn't really know the artist. potentially the characters even. So the first character that we introduced was a Moonstone, who's basically a demon hunter in the story. And each statue was introduced with a small comics, which I sent you the images.
Yeah.
Small story. Basically, there was a war between demons and gods, and the demons lost, but the most powerful ones escaped without being destroyed, and they went to hide at different places of the cosmos. And one of the places where one of them, I don't know how many there are, but one of the most powerful one went into the relic planet, and that is why the planet is dying, because inside the planet is that evil creature. So Moonstone's clan has been there on the Red Planet for thousands of years, sort of making sure nothing sort of the evil is kept at bay. So basically, your role is of her clan is to make sure that whatever evil is there doesn't sort of take foot more than what they already has. Moonstone comes back from training. Her entire village or her entire people is gone, so she doesn't really know what's going on. And as she's realizing this, she sees something that falls from the sky, which is basically, we don't really know it yet, but now we know it because the 3 products are released. But what's crashing onto the relic planet is Claw, the third character. So that's Moonstone. We have Jack, the giant hunter. Jack is also a female character, but unlike Moonstone, which is very sexy and doesn't have much armor on, Jack has a cloak, sort of a bounty hunter, scavenger sort of character, who's roaming on derelict planet on a speeder bike. You see the speeder bike on the comics that we did. There's actually a little homage to Akira on Pascal's drawing.
Yeah.
That iconic image there on the poster of Akira, where we see the speed bike and Akira. Pascal did the same thing, but the other way around. So you see the bike first, and Jack coming like walking towards the speeder bike. So Jack also sees the same thing as Moonstone saw in the sky, different perspective, and Jack's going to go investigate as well. So sort of this is a setting to introduce sort of the 3 characters. And the third character, you see Claw escaping from prison because he had been caught. And he's escaping, but the way he's escaping is really strange. It's basically, it's insinuated, but I can tell you guys, it's basically whatever is hiding on derelict planet was able to reach Claw and help him escape, and sort of pull his escape pod towards derelict planet, because that entity has plans for Claw, right? So Claw crashes on derelict planet, gets out of the escape pod, and all of a sudden his arm starts mutating into the claw, that big claw that has on one of the switch outs of the character of Claw has a big claw. That's a gift from the entity that just got him to derelict planet. So basically, this is sort of the introduction of the 3 characters. So Claw's going to be the enemy, Moonstone's going to be their hero, and Jack is also a hero, but not as obvious as Moonstone. Those selfish hero who end up being a hero even though they didn't want to be a hero.
I think they call it an anti-hero.
Yeah, I tried to use that term. Pascal didn't really see it that way. I think it's more of a hero than a anti-hero, but I had that appellation originally, but you know what we're saying.
Yeah.
So basically, each character has also a switch out version, which basically you see it often in statues. Sometimes open fist, closed fist, a mad face, happy face, or whatever. We wanted to go a little further than that. I mean, there's reasons why people are limited in their switch outs, because it doesn't cost a lot of money to just add a little smile. If you go crazy with your switch outs, you're gonna have to pay for it. But in our case, since we're doing a high-end sort of product, we didn't mind going the extra mile for those things. So our switch outs, they changed the look of the statue quite drastically. For Moonstone, we have a mechanical helmet, because she has a bone helmet, but the alternative helmet is a mechanical helmet with some tubing. It's amazing, like very, very cool. And her weapon, you can add 2 parts to the weapon that she's holding, which turns it into a big spear. So each of our statues have a second version, which we called Blade Master because it's always a blade instead of a rifle. So that's for Moonstone. For Jack, it's you change the hood and you put sort of a Japanese casa hat, sort of ninja style a bit. Really cool. And instead of a gun, you can put the spear, like a really this spear here actually. Ah, so that's Jack's spear actually.
Wow. It's a
Yeah.
lot bigger than I expected.
Yeah, yeah, they're a lot bigger than you think. It's hard to show the scale of a statue on photos, even if you put how tall they are.
Yeah.
I think I sent you a picture of me with next to the statue.
Mm-hmm.
This way, you get a good feel of it. And then for Claw, we didn't go with the helmet for Claw. We did the entire arm is different. So we have the mechanical. That's the mechanical arm for Claw. Um, and then for his hand, he has so the alternative version for claw is a big sort of claw, and the weapon is a double bladed sword instead
Mm.
of a rifle. So
Yeah.
each character has a switch out, and the switch outs are on magnets, so they're very easy to
Yeah.
swap out.
That's cool. I think Jacques would do well in the coronavirus because of the mask.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She has no fear of that. But I think there's worse thing than coronavirus on derelict planet. To be honest. That was our second year. I'm sorry.
Oh no, keep going. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm just saying it was we launched Jack 1 week before all hell break loose. We launched Jack's on December 6th, and I think the next weekend it was starting to be confinement or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was just really a bad luck for everybody, but for business people, it was tough.
Yeah.
But,
So, as a nice segue, COVID-19 has challenged many people personally and professionally. Being, I guess you'd guys call yourself an indie figure company. I'd assume that a lot of your business is handled remotely, kind of. But has this year challenged you in any way?
well, even before COVID-19, our entire business model is very, very light. Okay, so basically, Hugues in China, I'm in Montreal. Um, all my staff is remote. I work with a graphic artist who's what you might call it in English. He doesn't work for me, but freelance.
Yeah.
So but it's the same, same person I use, and I've known the person for a long time. He's a friend, basically. Same with photos. Same with my edits, my videos. Everybody. I don't have an in-house team. I mean, I use the same partners for it, but it's people who have their own business going. So for me, for us, it's quite easy in this regard. Eventually, when if we're big enough, maybe we'll need to hire staff, have a physical office and all that. But for now, it's very, very the structure is very light. But we do have a factory in China with hundreds of employees, and I mean those are not all House of Gog employees, but it's the team that we have access to through Hugues, right? So we are well equipped, but the structure is very light.
Yeah.
In terms of so for COVID, we didn't have to not go to the office since I have a home office, and everything is online. I mean, our store is online. I mean, from the get-go, I always wanted to. I mean, it's a bit cliche, but I was always telling people that I wanted to run my business with my iPhone. And this is something that you can almost easily do now.
Yeah.
Not easily, but everything is made with mobile apps. So I can do a lot of it with the mobile phone. So that was the idea before. So by the time COVID hits, I mean, our entire business model was already a mobile sort of light structure sort of business model. So it didn't hit us as hard. But of course, in terms of sales and how much money people have in their pockets, there's a crisis. So obviously, people have less money in their pockets. But one of the only industry that usually doesn't go down during economic crisis or stuff like that is collectibles. Funny enough, so So people still continue to collect, but for sure, there's an effect for sure, but I don't think it hit us, e-commerce merchant, as much as it did others. Like brick and mortar people, a lot of people are hurting right now, and
Yeah.
it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I still see new releases from Good Smile Company like every week, and they basically own my wallet now.
But but you picked a really good one.
Yeah,
Good Smiles
yeah,
is a really,
yeah.
they are king of PVC. They make really beautiful, because in the statue game, they don't see PVC as PVC has a bad rep in the statue business by collectors, but it shouldn't, because it's you can make really cool stuff in PVC.
Yeah.
You can't see them, but Pure Arts and UG, they make the Court of the Dead
Mm-hmm.
PVC line for Sideshow. So I have a few of them here, and all my Sofubi are PVC as well. It's because you can't make small quantities with PVC; it's too expensive. So
Yeah.
for statues with small edition size, you could never do a PVC statue. You need thousands of units otherwise, because the mold is you have to the tooling is a lot more expensive for PVC than for resin. For resin, we use a silicone mold that's you know a fraction. I mean, it's still expensive to do statues, but it's not the same. If you use a metal tooling, you can make 100,000 units if you want. So that's why usually people who use PVC, they have very large quantities.
Mm-hmm. So I guess kind of back on Pascal. Are you looking for other artists to join your team, or is
Yeah, yeah. We not only we are looking for other artists, but we already signed other artists.
mm,
But like I said, the process is about 2-3 years per release.
yeah,
So we're already working on our next stuff as well. But I can't mention. Not only I could, but I don't want to mention names because I want to keep it a surprise. I think it's really cool when the whole world finds out at the same time. We did it for Pascal, and it was really, really exciting for everybody. So,
mm-hmm.
and not only the artist, but also the actual art we're going to use for the statue. We want this to be secrets. We do a little Easter eggs, a little hints here and there sometimes. I really like that stuff. So if you look through our social media, or you know, by the way, I know you'll mention it, but it's at House of Gog in one word, on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. So basically, we want it to be a surprise, but we are working with other artists. Some quite different than Pascal, but all with the same vibe, because the artist choice goes through me, even though Hugues and I have the exact same taste in art. Hugues really gives me the lead for the selection of the artist. So basically, I'm following this sort of this vein of inspiration I have, and our next artist is fantastic, super cool stuff, quite different, but we want to make it so that even if it's not the same artist, it's all gonna fit in your living room type thing,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all coming from the same sort of the same taste.
Yeah,
So
from
we're
the
not gonna
same
be that
house.
far from the same house, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So yes, new artists, but baby steps, right? Because we have to sell the units we have. Moonstone's almost sold out,
Yeah.
but it's not like Batman, which she sold out in 120 seconds. And another thing, we all sell ourselves. We don't sell through other shops, and that's a big risk and challenge for us. But at the same time, if we're gonna be making all that work to get ourselves known, might as well bring people to in our shop. So
Mm.
so that makes it. I mean, Moonstone would have been sold out the next day. Somebody wanted to buy 100 Moonstone. I think the first day we opened a store. It was in Asia, but that's not how the business model was designed. If we were going to to do the distribution route, we would have to sell the statue twice the price that we're selling it right now. So the business model is made so that we sell ourselves. We might be having some units in Europe, in selected stores, just to make it a bit easier for our European customers to buy our product, like in terms of cost. But it's exclusive on the .com, so it takes a lot longer to sell yourself as a starting company than if we were to have our units on Sideshow and all those stores, you know. So it's addition, it's a choice, it's a decision that we took. And we're making really good progress through it, but it's a lot. It takes a lot more time because we don't have all the other stores. They all have their clientele already established, their audience. Us, we were starting from scratch. I had 0 followers on Instagram 2 years ago. You know, like I went. We didn't have that many followers at the beginning. So it's all like baby steps, but it's all going in the right direction and at a really cool pace as well. So yeah, new artists, but hopefully this year and in 2021 we'll see how it goes. We have Claw coming up as well, so that's the pre-orders are going right now. So that's it.
Yeah. My next question was gonna be asking if you could tease anything, but we'll keep that a surprise.
Yeah, I can't really tease anything, but know that it's going to be incredible, and that's it.
Yeah.
And a surprise.
Yeah. I think what you have going is really good. Let's see. I actually think that's all the questions I have for you. Do you want to plug anything specifically? I have your like social media handle right underneath your face for everyone to see.
Oh,
so
perfect. That's perfect. Well, basically, yeah, like I said earlier, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're pretty. We're on all platforms, but Instagram is where there's the most action, I would say. Twitter is a strange beast. I haven't discovered the way of Twitter yet, but it's more a place where people put news and stuff like that. It's different for a brand on Twitter, I find.
Yeah.
But I use Twitter a lot, but for the brand, it's a bit more difficult on Twitter. But it's still happening. Yeah. And that's it. Visit our website, houseofgog.com. We have 3 beautiful statues for sale. 2 are available to ship. So basically, Moonstone and Jack are available and ready to ship. So we ship every Fridays. Depending, some weeks we ship more than once because depending on the order, but usually we consolidate them and ship them the same day. That way it's easier for everybody. And Claw is going to be shipping Q1 2021. So Claw is almost done. The production is done. We just need to do the assembly, do our boxes, because we do our boxes ourselves. So that's it. So visit our site, follow us on social media, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to us directly by DM or info@House of Gog. That's it.
Well, thank you for joining me today and introducing our audience to the wondrous world that is House of Gog. I look forward to seeing what you guys have coming up in the future. So this is me signing out now. With that being said, if you liked what you heard, please go ahead and leave a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to keep it locked to Exclu magazine for all the latest news and previews across the toy community.